So I get kind of jealous when I hear somebody's story about something lucky happening to them on a flight. So it's usually like, oh, I got upgraded to first class or I got upgraded to business class and it was great and blah, blah, blah. Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you how nothing like that has ever happened with me, but I do have a pretty cool story about meeting a well-known bluegrass musician on a flight from Atlanta, Georgia to the Tri-Cities of East Tennessee. If you're new here, my name is Cody. I attended bluegrass school basically at East Tennessee State University's Bluegrass and Old Time Country Music program. Here on this channel, I dive into lessons, gear reviews, everything bluegrass and country music related. And the reason I mention that is because that is where the origin of this story happened. So I was enrolled in this program, and of course, they teach you how to play your instruments and all that, but they also integrate you into bluegrass culture. Here is a book that we had to read through called The Bluegrass Reader, where we just look at the history of bluegrass and things like that. And another element of what they taught us was also making us familiar with the luthiers and guitar makers from around the region. East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, Southwest Virginia, very rich in bluegrass culture. And one of the names that kept popping up in the realm of guitar makers from around the region, everybody raving about the guitars that he made, was a gentleman named Wayne Henderson. He owns a company called Henderson Guitars, world renowned for making very, very solid bluegrass instruments. And I remember sitting in class at ETSU, and they had on a couple different occasions, I think it was actually the same video, just like instructional video about luthiers and about guitar making, and Wayne Henderson was featured in those videos. And that's how I first sort of made the connection between, or first learned about rather, Wayne Henderson and his guitars. And so this was around, if I'm not mistaken, winter of 2014, 2015. My ex-wife slash partner, I'm just going to refer to her as Geraldine to make this all easier on this channel. So Geraldine was in school at McGill University in Montreal, Quebec, and I was at ETSU in Johnson City, Tennessee. This wasn't when I was in the program. This was a couple years after that. I went back to grad school. And so I was up in Canada quite a bit, and I was basically going through Atlanta, Georgia on these connecting flights to get back to East Tennessee. And so I'm on one of these flights and I'm sitting at the restaurant near my gate, and I'm doing what you always do in an airport. You're sitting there, I think I was having a beer or something, and I was people watching. Watching people go through, it's the greatest thing ever if you're in an airport. I love it. And so off to the corner there, I see a gentleman approach the gate to the Tri-Cities, the same gate that I'm going to be traveling through shortly. And automatically I knew it. I was like, this is Wayne Henderson, or that is Wayne Henderson. I've seen him so much. I never played a guitar. I still haven't played one of his guitars, I don't think. But anyway, I recognized him just like that. And I lit up. I was like, whoa, I think I texted some of my buddies like, oh, I see Wayne Henderson. He is on my flight, it looks like. He's probably going back to Virginia. We're traveling to East Tennessee. And so comes time to board the flight. As you're walking down that aisle, you're just judging people, right? Or at least I do. How fast they're putting their stuff up. And more importantly, where you're sitting and who are you sitting by? Because obviously you're passing through folks. You're like, wow, I'm glad they're not in my seat. But in this instance, I see Wayne Henderson and he's with his wife. And they're down, the aisle, sitting down already. And I'm just like, oh man, that would be crazy if I sat beside Wayne Henderson. And lo and behold, look at my ticket and it's like, oh, 19E or whatever it is, 19C. And I get to the row and I am sitting right there beside Wayne Henderson and his wife. And so, incredible experience. The flight to the Tri-Cities was only about 20 minutes, but I wasn't shy. I immediately was like, hey, I know who you are. I think before I even put up my bags in the overhead. And he was like, he genuinely seemed a little bit shocked because I'm sure he doesn't get that a whole lot. He was like, really? Real nice guy. Obviously has a sense of humor, real down to earth. And he was kind of making light of it. He's obviously shocked, but still very flattered that I recognized him. And so sit down beside Wayne, and the flight itself is about 20-25 minutes. I'd say you're probably on the flight itself from the boarding time to the exit time between 45 minutes and an hour. And so we chatted the whole time. He was very thankful that I, had the courage to talk to him. But he was telling me stories just about his playing over the years. He's a very, very well-known flat picker, but he's not a recording artist. But he told me rather, that he had played all over the world. He was telling me stories about playing in Germany. The story that I remember the most about was him playing in front of Thai royalty. And if you don't know this about me, like I lived in Asia for a long time. I was a school teacher in South Korea as well as in southern Vietnam for years and years and years. And so it was interesting to hear him talk about playing bluegrass music in front of Thai kings and queens and things like that, a country that I visited on vacation all the time. And without getting too far into details, it's really interesting to like picture, you know, Thai people and how they react to their king and their you know, whatever royalty. I don't know the exact name or how they describe those folks in that system, but just to imagine a bluegrass musician from East Tennessee playing in front of like garbed Asian royalty is an interesting idea and an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, he told me stories about, you know, over a great number of years playing all over the world. It seemed to me like he was sort of integrated into some like diplomatic ties. Wayne, if you're watching this, I know that might be the wrong way to describe it, but I think what it was like he had close ties with like diplomats or American diplomacy, where he would just basically be you know, a musician that would go and perform on behalf of the United States. And so I thought that was interesting. I may not have all those details right. This was been like 11, 12 years ago, but that's what I remember. Super cool experience. I don't have a lot of other things to say. It was, you know, a pretty short flight, and then we said goodbye and we went our separate ways. So I know it's not like meeting Michael Jordan, but overall, like, it was a super, super cool experience, and I really like this style of video online. And I'd like to start like a Sunday morning coffee chit chat with you guys. So if you're into that, let me know in the description below. And also, if you have a story to share about meeting a famous musician or just meeting somebody famous in general, let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you want to learn beginner bluegrass guitar from a gentleman who went to school for it, as I just mentioned, check the link in the description below. I offer an 85 lesson and growing beginner bluegrass course/membership. It's really reflective of a lot of what I learned at East Tennessee State University. And so if you're interested in learning bluegrass guitar with me, get going today. The price will only go up. Right now, it's the most affordable it will ever be. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.